is I'll record the review and I'll put it
Okay.
on YouTube as well after, so you've got that to look
Oh,
back
thank
on,
you so much.
just in
Thank you.
case we go over a ton of information and you kind of want to focus on one part and then go back to a different part later, stuff like that, you know.
Okay. Yeah,
Right.
sure. Thank you.
So
Thank
one
you
of the
so
big
much.
things with Amumu that you also have to decide on your first clear is, do
Yeah.
you have the ability to get pressure on bot lane early? And if the answer is yes, then you usually want to start towards top side. Now, the one of the biggest things with the Mumu is the fact that your ultimate really wants you to fight around as many people as possible, right? So early into the game, especially
Yeah.
when you get level 6, the largest chance you're going to get at getting as many people with that ultimate as possible is going to be to gank bot lane. Now, obviously, Ezreal is a very hard kind of laner to sort of catch, but he has a Vel'Koz, so he's not going to get any kind of like movement speed boosts or shields or heals. So that makes him a vulnerable lane, even though he does have his ears and escape tool, right? Now, another thing about that
Okay.
lane as well is they are very poke heavy. They also do have a winning matchup. And they are just going to
Mhm.
look to just poke over and over and over. So you can use that, and you can also gank bot and potentially get them early, which is what we actually end up doing, which did to some degree work, but we'll just go over it. Now, the second option is going to be, can you do anything in bot lane before your ultimate? Now, if the answer is yes, then you can start topside and go into bot almost every game. If the answer is
Okay.
no, you actually want to start on blue buff here. Now, even if you
Okay.
don't gank top lane, why would you want to start potentially blue buff there as well? What does that
Uh,
actually do for you? We have to think of the overall grand picture of actually what's going on. So if we start blue, where are we going to be at level 6? Do you know?
we're going to be bot side.
Yeah. We'll get level 6 off either our second blue spawn,
Yeah.
off our blue, or off our blue and grump.
Right.
So at
Yeah.
that point,
Okay.
if you can't do anything in bot lane pre-6, you would still start bot, you would hard farm for 6, and then your level 6 to go straight into bot lane anyway. So those are kind of like some
Okay.
of the main things you need to just consider with a
Okay.
Mumu.
Okay.
Now, another big thing here is how you actually clear this camp out. Now, one of the biggest things with a Mumu is his W takes a significant amount of mana. So you want to make sure that that W is damaging your target at all points, right? So here, what you actually wanted to do is focus down this little one until it was about to die. And then as soon as this dies,
Uh-huh.
you smite this away. And then you can turn your W off while they do their little transformation where they turn into the smaller ones, or I guess
Yeah.
degradation.
But
And then as that comes on, then you can turn your W back on. So it's these
but actually, yeah.
uh huh. What was that?
Oh,
Sorry.
but actually, I don't run out of mana in the jungle like at all, like because of the buff, no?
I mean, you
To
almost
like
did this game, so that only applies when you start blue buff. Like another thing that you can
Okay.
do as well, if you're, for example, against the jungler that's going to invade you, or is going to do things on you, you can actually ignore Krugs here because you end up so low on mana that it can be a little bit risky. So you can actually ignore Krugs there and then just go 5 camps into bot. So that's another option as
Okay.
well. Like you can,
Okay.
another thing you can do very often as a jungler is you can potentially look to skip camps in order to get pressure if the time is right.
Uh-huh.
Now, one of
I
the
see.
biggest things that I am actually seeing about your gameplay though, what do you notice
Mhm.
about this period of time? So from about 25 seconds. So from about here, what do you notice? What are
Uh,
you doing in that moment there?
uh, just moving the camera.
Yeah, so this is one of the things why we have to make sure that we get a VOD of you actually playing because this is really, really important and something that is almost mandatory that you start learning. You are just clicking on the minimap to move your camera around, even though you can use your F keys to instantly look over the lanes. So, do you have a full
Ooh, okay.
keyboard? Do you
Yeah,
have
I
F
do.
keys? Yeah, okay. So F1 to 5 are your best friend as a jungler. And like as a jungler, if you don't use them, then you're really limiting yourself because one of the first problems we have here is that you're using your mouse to go over the map and move it. Now, not only is that clunky, but it's also very slow. Now, the only time you really need to click on the map to see is if, say, for example, there's nobody in the lane and you just want to have a look how a wave is. But overall, you should be looking to F keys to look around. Now, another problem with this is when you were clearing this camp, how much did you look over lanes?
No, no, I didn't.
Exactly, none at all. So, and then as we're moving through camp to camp, then we're looking over lanes, but we're basically like walking in the dark for no reason. Like, so what you can do is, especially on Amumu, this is one of the reasons why it's so good, is you've got your W and your E that you can continuously spam and you'll keep clearing the camps. So you
Yeah.
don't really need to do much in terms of mechanics on the camps. There's some champions where some of the mechanics that you use are quite, like say Rengar or something like that, like jumping out. As a Mumu, you don't need to. You're just looking at you're just clearing the camp with WE. That's all you need. So the thing with that is, while you're clearing that camp, that's when you should be looking over the lanes. So
Okay.
right here, we can see that, okay, so we look there, that's okay. But again, we
Yeah.
could F key it. And then like here, we've just seen the Vel'Koz has just gone awarded, but we didn't actually look at that from looking over our laners. We only get that from the minimap. So if you weren't looking at the minimap directly then, you won't know that the Vel'Koz has just warded the river. Whereas if we were FKing frequently, we would have saw him move and then we would have got more information.
Okay.
So yeah, now this is another really important thing. We're a little bit low on mana, and this would damage us quite a lot, so I don't think it's best to double camp here. But making sure that you set your camps up for the next rotation is really important. Now, like we previously mentioned, if we take blue here, this is over double the amount of respawn time that the Gromp is. So what's going to happen is if you take this first, we're going to end up on our next clear where we clear this out, this, and then we're going to be waiting for Gromp for the amount of time that blue buff took us to take. So say if blue buff takes us 10 to 15 seconds to clear, we're going to be 10 to 15 seconds where we just wait on Gromp and we can't actually do it because we're waiting for it to respawn, and then the time we take it. We're going to lose so much time and so much tempo that's not even worth it. So take the Gromp first. That'll also replenish some of your mana. Then take the blue. That'll give you blue buff. And then you can look for, say, the crab or bot gank or whatever you really want to look for. But yeah, making sure that you're killing your camps whilst taking in mind the order that you want them respawning is very, very important.
Okay, but so here, yeah, okay, I get it, yeah.
And then we do get this. I mean, this is very risky since we didn't have prio, but I guess it worked. And then here, again, we're just looking bot. Like, they're ridiculously overextended. Even though we want to get blue reset, like, they're so overextended, it's unreal. To be honest, it was probably bad that you went for that crab there instead of blue anyway, because the crab doesn't mean as much as your blue respawning early, but either way. So yeah, so now the thing is here, like, we didn't have the mana for it, I guess. Like, we could have maybe tried to limit test there, but it's not the best. And here we take this, we reset instantly, and so if we didn't get that kill, we'd still have enough for our soak boots here because we got futures market. Because we did get that kill, we end up with our soak boots and a dark seal, which this is probably one of the best backs you can back with. Now, this is the reason why Futures Market is so good as well, because when you're playing these junglers that are just looking to completely hard farm, get to level 6, due to the fact that they changed the respawn timers so that they're now 2:15 instead of the 2 minutes that they were before, means now after you full clear everything, you're left with this 10 to 15 seconds where there's nothing to really do except gank. So when you're playing these hard clear junglers, you also want to look to get that gank off because you're also going to be higher XP or higher level than the laner that you're ganking. So it means that you're very, very strong coming into that lane, and this is kind of where the kind of level 6 playstyle really, really excels. Because now you have these as well, so now you can clear these out as well, go bot again, especially when you have ultimate, and you can just kill them. Now, another thing to do, though, that I didn't actually notice is when you go back into game, go into interface, and at the bottom, there'll be loads of like little tick boxes for different things that you get in games. There'll be like XP, gold, and you want to turn them on because then it'll actually come up in your HUD that you've gained a certain amount of gold or you've gained a certain amount of XP. Now, this is important because you need to start learning these numbers to start knowing kind of, what you can do with your clears, or like what you can skip. Like you can find out like adventurous clears. So say for example, if you're playing like an early ganking jungler, you could go say red buff chickens and gromp, and that'll give you level 3. Or you could
Okay.
clear out the entire of one side, that gives you level 3, etc. You know, so
Yeah, yeah,
these
yeah.
kind of things are things that you should definitely kind of start taking note of. And they're not going to drastically improve your gameplay, but they will open doors that you can potentially do other kind of things, or they become interesting. So yeah, so now we clear all this out, and again, Ezreal is very, very overextended. So do you remember how we previously said that they're going to be looking to just poke and push in permanently?
Mm.
This is what they're
Yeah.
doing, and this is how we abuse
Okay.
them. So here, we always want to save our Q. Now, this is something, would you have saved your Q here if I didn't tell you to? When you were actually
Yes,
playing?
yes.
Okay,
I
good.
would.
Okay, good, good. Just because a
Yeah.
lot of people will kind of, they'll just use it randomly. Now here, to be honest, I don't think you actually needed to use it. I think you could have actually held on to it. He was 100% going to die and you were
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
get
yeah,
it.
yeah, 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 yeah. You already did. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
so true. Yeah, and I could
Because,
just have went on the bell because I got a double
exactly,
kill. Yeah.
yeah. And then this would have been guaranteed double, I think.
Yeah, yeah, nah, that's kind of it. Yeah.
Yeah, because we also get ult off that kill as well, which is
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
something
yeah,
that
yeah. Right,
we'd
right.
already
Yeah,
planned for.
and then. Oh,
Yeah,
jeez. Yeah,
yeah.
that's kind
So
of
now
it.
you
Yeah.
have to use your flash to get that. Now here,
Yeah,
you
and
still want to
then
drag this out, just because junglers are crazy, and laners don't care about prio. So here, you still want to drag this objective out. And then if, say, for example, you've got this ward and he starts charging here when it's on, say, 2k, you just stop hitting it, you wait for him to jump, and then you just focus him and kill him.
right, right.
So
Okay.
objective mechanics are kind of, they're good. Now, why do you think you couldn't rush this dragon, whereas you maybe actually no, you couldn't rush any dragon here. Now, what do you know much about the actual dragons? What they give?
Mountain.
Yeah, so mountain
Win.
is actually one of the hardest dragons for you to take. Um, just
Wait,
because it's
it
got
goes
the
AoE damage.
yeah, it's got the most resistances out of any
Oh,
dragon.
wait, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't
So
know.
if
I
we have
didn't
a
know
look,
that.
mountain dragon. I can't remember where it is on the wiki, but it's got the most resistances. It does AOE, and yeah, it's very strong.
Yeah, I know it is AoE, and then the Ocean Dragon slows. Yeah, but the
Yeah.
Ocean, I thought Ocean Dragon's the hardest dragon to take because it slows you, and then if you get caught, it's like, oh, you're fucked. You know.
I mean, it does take a little bit, but I can't find the exact wiki. I can't find the exact wiki page, but no, the mountain has the most resistances, if I recall correctly, out of any dragon.
Okay, okay. Okay, so should I have taken I like okay, to be honest, like I would have just skipped the dragon because like
Yeah, I found it. I did find it. So here, see, mountain dragon
the
has
dragons
the
are
highest amount of armor
really
and
like
magic
bad.
resist out of all. So it actually has 41 armor and 50
Okay,
magic
okay.
resist, which is a lot. Like that's a huge amount considering so it has
Right,
a huge amount of
right.
magic resist and armor, so it means that you'll take it very, very slow. Whereas if we were to look at Infernal, for example, see,
Okay.
Infernal only has 21 armor and 30 magic resist, which these lower amounts as well are actually worth more
Ooh,
because it has diminishing returns.
okay,
Same with this and this. Ocean Drake 21,
okay.
30.
So I should have just skipped the dragon.
And so we needed to either bait it, bait it out,
Uh-huh.
or we needed to just play it properly. Now the problem is at this point of the game, neither of you have 900 smite. It's impossible. The only way to have 900 smite at this point of the game, if I recall correctly, is to take ultimate spellbook and then swap out smite, and you get the 900. But
What? Oh,
yeah.
that's OP. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's still an interaction. I haven't seen Ultimate Spellbook in a little bit, but I'm fairly certain it still acts like that. Unless they patched it in the last patch or two. But yeah, so the dragon takes a little bit longer,
Okay.
so you either have to drag it out and then take it from a safe position, or again, let it get to about 2k, stop hitting it, ping to back off, and then wait for the Zac to jump in, or just finish his E. So you've got a ward here, and we actually see Zac actually went in this bush, right? I'm fairly certain he went in the
Yeah,
brush.
yeah, we did. Yeah.
So see here, he started charging his E.
Oh.
So what we could have done is we could have waited for him
Ooh.
to finish his E charge, and then he wouldn't be able to jump over.
Yeah.
So that's
Oh
another
yeah.
thing we could
Okay.
do,
Okay.
but it's
Okay.
already risky because it's quite low. But another thing you also want to do,
Oh
and this is
my
kind of a
God.
big problem with your actual objective taking, is you're not thinking about your abilities as you're taking the objective. Now, as it starts getting low, so at about this point, what's your main purpose in this situation?
Secure the dragon.
Okay, yeah. So your purpose here isn't to do damage to the dragon primarily, it's to make sure that you secure it. So what you actually look to do, so actually no, I'll open the table. So what should you have done here so that you could have secured it? Or you could have increased your chances significantly?
So I should have actually chained my Q and smite.
Yeah, or more importantly, your E as well. You could have changed your Q or your E for the smiter, which would have been very, very good because
Okay.
your E does the same amount of damage almost as your Q. I think it's only about 5 or 10 damage difference, but it's much faster, and you can chain it with an
Okay.
auto. So what you can do is you can auto E and smite all at the same time. So your E at this
Okay.
point is
Okay.
going to be doing what? Maybe 120 to 125 damage. So your E's doing about 125 right now, and your autos are doing 68. So you can say just round them up and say, okay, about 200, and then your smite is 450. So what you could be looking to do is as soon as it gets to say 600, you auto E and then smite instantly, like all at the same time. And then that way it will, well, with your W on top as well, it'll be way easier to actually secure it. You'll find that you'll get
Okay.
it way more times.
Okay.
But what we're
Okay.
doing is we're using our abilities in the wrong order. See here, where we went at E, so that's on cooldown now, and then we don't use our Q at all. I don't think. Okay, we do use our Q, but it's too early, and we don't have our E. So it's kind of like you played it wrong in the kind of aspect of dragging it out, but then B, you didn't really stack anything together in order to
Yeah.
finish that off. So now again we have
Okay.
this sequencing where so this is one of the things that we do actually need to look top because we could have potentially taken red and then gone top, but we don't look over the lane, right? And this kind of one of the problems. Like it's hard for me to even advise you in game of what to do because we're not actually gaining information.
Because yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter
Yeah.
how good
Okay.
you are at the game. If you're not getting information, then you're not going to be able to do anything. So this is the thing. The game is all about being proficient mechanically and even more than proficient at the higher levels, but then making sure that you're gaining all the information possible and through theory and experience, putting that like information that you're getting into actions and kind of actionable deeds that can potentially change the game. So here, Trent comes to you. This is fine. So right there, we want to just leave. This camp is still going to be here. Unless he chooses to take it, fine. But it's still going to be here later. So there, we should have just run. We shouldn't have stayed. Because he knows where we are, and he's a level up on us. Like, the set can't move, he's pinned to tower. So this is another thing.
Wait,
If we
wait,
would have...
so if he goes missing, I should just leave.
Yeah. Yeah, or like, if we hadn't have seen him here, and he's missing here, and set is pushed into tower, just sit in this brush for a second, and see if he comes.
Okay.
And then if he shows back top, then you can farm this camp. You're going to lose tempo, but
Okay.
you're not going to die. Which
Okay,
is the important part.
And that's the most important thing, right?
Yeah, not dying is super important. Because due to this is actually a much bigger thing than you realize because he's also just completely ruined your sequence. So now you've got to come back into top lane and farm this Krug camp. Which, if you're farming Krug camp reactively instead of proactively, it's a very difficult camp to take. Very difficult. Plus, also, we would have been at, say, what, 60 plus CS right now? We would have been doubling Zac's CS almost. If we hadn't have died there.
Yeah, you're right.
And we would have then also been bot in time for our bot lane to reset and come out. Obviously, you can't rely on that in these healers because people don't know how to reset. But then here again, see, we didn't really look. Now, we know that Trinoma has no ultimate because he's used it. So if we would have actually looked earlier here, we could have potentially killed him. But again, like I don't want to repeat these things over and over because this just comes down to your F keys. Like
Okay.
obviously it's how you use that information, but we need to actually the first step in you improving is you actually gaining all the information required for you to make the correct decision.
Okay.
Which currently, that's where we're really kind of slacking. And you like one of the things is you notice this as well if you ever watch kind of like a very high elo jungler, like
Yeah, they're always tapping in the lanes or
yeah,
something. Like,
yeah. This is the thing, they're just gaining information permanently about what they're actually looking for. Or what mistakes. Like a higher level player can be a case of look over a lane, did somebody use their ultimate? Yes, okay, now you can go there, Like,
right,
so that's
right,
another
yeah.
thing you can also look out for, but for the time being, we just want to get you using your tools.
Yeah, F keys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, so this was a little bit risky. So here we could have potentially gone on Ezreal and then ran up here, but we went on Vel'Koz, which is way too close to the tower. Now your bot lane is actually pinned to the tower there. So another thing you need to do is you also need to spam pings. Because right now they probably didn't even realize that you were looking to commit for this. So what you actually want to do here is you want to spam pings over and
Mhm.
over. The only reason this
Okay.
works is because there, obviously we didn't see it because our camera's not right, but we can actually see on the minimap that Ezreal uses his E. So did you see that? Did you see that in the minimap there, or?
Okay, no, I didn't.
So watch the Ezreal, and this obviously isn't the best because we should be looking over it, but if we look at the minimap as we're going for this, we can still
Yeah, I
tell.
get
So
it.
if we
Yeah.
watch,
Yeah. Yeah.
see, did you see that little
Oh,
blip?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I see it. I see it.
So
I see
that's
it.
his
Yep.
E gone. So now his E's gone, which means he's around about here, and we could have
Okay.
literally, so this another thing as well, hug the walls. So we could have gone to here and then queued him across here. If we land our Q, we're kind of out of range of Vel'Koz, and then what we can even do is start kiting backwards a little bit and catch him with our ultimate, and then Lee Sin could have hopped on us and finished him off.
Okay.
But because we kind of go on Vel'Koz, obviously we do a lot of damage, but it's not on the target that we need to actually kill.
Okay.
Even though Vel'Koz does do a lot in lane, don't get me wrong, but... So yeah, a little bit of a risky gank, but it worked. Now this one of the reasons I realized, because you don't even realize how much gold you got off that Tryndamere there. So you actually got, I think that's 600 gold. But you need these on as like a stimulus for your brain. Because as soon as you see like that big gold shutdown, your brain instantly goes, oh, I'm a lot stronger now. So it's then you can be like, okay, great. Like if you get like a 1k shutdown, which I think you do get one this game, but I think it was on the Silas. But you don't actually see it. Now this Silas is just a complete psychopath, I guess. I mean, he did almost kill her though. This guy was kind of good, to be fair. He played this well. But yeah, so again, now we clear these out. We go and get Vel'Koz. Again, you can just smite him here for your Dark Harvest too. But we get a kill anyway. It's we get another shutdown, but we didn't actually notice it,
Mm.
So this was this was a case where we should have been more confident at first, right? So right here,
Yeah.
so we see a Silas, right? Okay, great. It's 3v1. So we can see the Tryndamere's top lane still. The Vel'Koz is dead, and then and Silas is their mid lane, right? So right now, like maybe Ezreal comes and maybe their jungler, but you can kill this guy like so fast if you just commit to it instantly. So as soon as he walks up to you, just commit to it, and then your team can actually get to you. So right here, just ping assistance, and now just go. And then you stun him for long enough to then just get on top of him here, and he just dies.
Okay. Okay.
So we waste a ton of time. And then now we get confident, but it's kind of... He ults us
Late.
back, right? Yeah. So we didn't manage to CC lock him for long enough. But, I mean, he still died, and he was their most fed member, but a little bit rough and all. Okay, so this is sad. Obviously, the buff was
Ooh.
blocking you.
Yeah, that's so sad because the red buff is in the way.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's fine. And then here, so this was a case of So another thing we're doing is we're walking up to take, say, camps and stuff when we're really not in a position of safety to do so. Right now, we know that they're in our jungle because we saw him come over a ward. I'm fairly certain. Okay, so we know he's in our jungle, right? We saw him come over this ward, and he went back, and then I'm fairly certain he came back in. because he got into this brush. And we did know he was there. Oh, the screen froze here, actually. But we see here as well, Lee Sin goes and sweeps, and then we see the Zac, right?
Yeah, we do.
So we could have just gone, potentially, there. Well, the set's there too. But we give them too much time to react, and then... Like, Lee Sin
But
just
then I
dies
don't have
instantly.
multi. Like there's no way we win this
Yeah,
now.
I mean, Trist is there, and she does a lot of damage. She's pretty strong right now, right? She's level 9. I could have swore Trist was strong here. Okay, no,
Yeah,
she wasn't that
maybe.
strong, actually.
Mhm.
She is a little behind, so maybe it was a bit risky. But either way, we can't really do the blue there either.
Okay.
So even if we don't fight, we can't really do the blue because they could
But we
just
can't
jump on
really
us.
do the blue, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
and it
that's
could
true.
also be warded. Ah, no, we did sweep, actually. But they know it's up because of the stopwatch, the
Yeah,
timer.
it's respawned, yeah. Yeah.
So a little bit risky. I mean, the game, like, obviously the stuff that we've already covered isn't more important. We'll just skip over this stuff a little bit because this was just everybody
Yeah,
was
because
fed.
the game is over at this point, yeah.
Yeah, everybody was just very fed. You can still win games like these, but it does take a certain level of them messing up. At this point, though, you don't really want to be going for solo kills, especially on the support. It's really not worth it.
But then we want the shutdown, right? No?
I mean, yeah, but I mean, they still also have other damage dealers that are just going to kill you off, and then it doesn't matter if you got the shutdown; they'll end the game. You know.
Yeah, okay, okay.
So it's kind of risky to at that point. But and I think what that's only 150 gold shutdown, which is nice. Don't get me wrong, but it's not going to change the game.
It's not gonna change the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's gonna change the game is a 5-man ulti, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, you'd hope so. I can't believe that Zac lived there, but yeah. So obviously, it's a shame that this game was a bit stompy. But I mean, we did cover quite a lot anyway. Is there any kind of like questions or anything about about what we covered just before I kind of turn the recording off and yeah, or
Yeah, no, not really. I think the most important thing is for me to use my F keys and
yeah, that's a huge thing.
and for me to sequence the camps correctly. I think today I really learned something like today, yeah, like the red thing, it made so much sense, like to me, like taking the boss before the before or after the
Yeah,
sequencing the camps, like that makes so much sense to
yeah.
me.
It's you're
Like
just
and
looking to be as
yeah,
efficient as you can. Like that's the main
and
goal.
only looking for ganks when I like I think like I have fixed this issue before, like only looking for ganks that are not forced,
Yeah.
like and right, but then yeah, like I think I constantly need reminders, yeah.
I mean that's fine. Like this is the thing. Like a lot of players will change their playstyle or learn other things about the game and forget some things. That's kind of one of the most important things. This happens in Halo as well. Even if you like, I coach say Halo players, there'll be a lot of things that they know it exists, but they'll just stop implementing it into their gameplay. And sometimes it takes a nudge to say, well, why aren't you doing this? For them to go, okay, well, actually, yeah, this is beneficial. I should do this.
Yeah.
So
Like I used to click my skills. Like I used to click in my skills, like
yeah,
manually. Until someone told me that, hey, that's not efficient.
yeah,
And
exactly.
I'm like, yeah, that's true. Like, how do I win a fight? How do I abuse my level 6 powers by
Yeah,
if I'm clicking my
if you
R
don't get it.
button? Like that's like you don't do that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so I mean, overall, I'll turn the recording off now, just so that
Okay.